أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطاهرين
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين. In the previous lesson I talked about the examples from the Holy Quran, and I did mention the four examples, three examples I think, three examples, and now I'll move forward to the next stage of the discussion, which is which our conversation, the lesson reached this stage where I was talking about qidasat, means the holiness of the name of Allah. So, the name of Allah is holy and it has its sanctity, and the Holy Quran teaches us two duties. Towards the name of Allah. The first obligation we have is about the tasbih and tanzih. Means glorifying Allah and considering Allah to be beyond the attributes of creatures. Allah has none of the attributes of the creatures. Considering and believing that Allah has none of the attributes of the creatures, and avoiding shirk. This is what we mean from tanzih, associating partners with Allah. Shirk means associating partners with Allah. So, the first duty that the Holy Quran teaches us about the name of Allah is about the concept of tasbih and tanzih. I did start this in the previous lesson and talked about that, how we ended up saying Subhan Rabbiyal A'la wa bihamdih in the sajda, in the sujood. That's related to the verse Sabbah Isma Rabbikal A'la when that was revealed, and how we ended up starting to say Subhan Rabbiyal Azim wa bihamdih in the ruku when that was related to in the verse of Quran, revelation of the verse of Quran, فَسَبِّحْ بِسْمِ رَبِّكَ الْعَظِيمِ. I talked about that already. I don't want to repeat it. So the next duty is about the next duty that we have. We learn from the Holy Quran regarding the holiness and sanctity of the name of Allah is tabarruk with his name. Tabarruk with his name. That means that believing in the name of Allah being Mubarak. Mubarak means blessed. So we need to believe that the name of Allah is Mubarak, full of blessings, and also considering the source, plus considering the name considering it to be a source, the source, not a source, because that is the only source of barakat, blessings, and the sign, considering the name of Allah to be the sign considering it to be a sign of that source. So this is our obligation, to believing in, number one, believing in the fact that the name of Allah is Mubarak, is blessed, considering it to be the source of barakat. All the blessings in our life are coming from this source, and considering that the name of Allah is a sign that refers towards that source. The source obviously is the essence of Allah. The source is essence, Zat of Allah. And the names are referring towards His essence. So this name we believe that this name is a sign that leads us towards the source, which is essence, and all the blessings are coming from that source. Now, if a person reaches the reality of the names, if you reach haqiqat, means reality of the names of Allah, what would happen is that you will end up doing what Allah does through kun, be. When Allah wills or wishes to do something, all He says is be, and it happens. إذا أراد شيئا إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون. So as soon as He wishes to do something, He says be, and it happens. So if a human being reaches the reality of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I will explain what we mean with the term reality. If a human being reaches the reality of the names of Allah, he will start doing through the name of Allah what Allah does through be. So this is where our Urafa say this famous statement that Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim min al-'abd bimanzilati kun min al-Rabb. That means Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim said by a servant of Allah in the real sense of the word, the true servant of Allah, is at the status of the word kun. Status of kun means be, said by Allah, the Lord. So just like Allah can do whatever He wishes to do by kun, by be, similarly a true servant of Allah can do whatever he wishes by saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is the barakat of the ism and name of Allah that we are discussing. The holiness and sanctity of the name can lead you to a level that you can reach whatever you want to reach and wherever you want to reach. This is where the name can take you. This is the barak with His name in the fullest sense of the word. So, example, Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, the true servant of God, he said, and Quran narrates, this statement is part of the Holy Quran. Let me give you the reference of the ayat. This is Surah Hud, ayat number 41. Surah Hud, ayat number 41. Prophet Nuh alayhi salam said Bismillah Majreha wa Mursaha. So, which means we learn from this verse that the movement and the stopping, anchoring of the ship is with the name of Allah. So Prophet Nuh alayhi salam was moving his ship, Ark of Noah, and stopping, anchoring his ship with the name of Allah. Just by the name of Allah, he can move the ship and stop the ship. This is an example of what we are talking. Those who reach the haqiqat and reality of the names of Allah can do whatever they want to do by taking Allah's name, just like Allah can do whatever by saying be. Although my teacher Ayatollah Jawadi Amri Hafizahullah was saying that this be mentioned in Quran, إِنَّمَا يَقُولُ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُونُ, all he says is be and it happens. My teacher said it's not a word be that Allah has to necessarily say it. This is mentioned in Quran like this for us to understand the concept. Otherwise Allah is not standing in need of anything. He is not in need of anything. Allah is not needy towards anything, and anything includes saying a statement. He doesn't stand in need of saying the word be. all what happens is, as soon as he wishes, so his irada means the will. As soon as Allah's will is there, when He wills something, it happens. He doesn't have to say it as we may get the idea from the words that He has to say it for something to happen. No, saying doesn't stand in need of saying it. His will is sufficient for something, for anything to happen. So Prophet Nuh was used to move and stop his ship with the name of Allah. So if you recall, that's the biggest storm, biggest tsunami, biggest flood or storm that came in the history of the planet Earth ever, with waves like mountains, and the entire Earth was drowned at that time. Well, not the entire Earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have authentic narrations that tell us that there were two, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lifted up the place. So we learn from the narrations that the land of Karbala was lifted up by Allah, and that was never made wet by the storm of Prophet Nuh. The authentic narrations that tell us. But obviously the world was drowned in that storm, and in that kind of storm, controlling the ship was only possible by a servant of Allah who has reached the reality of the names of Allah, and because of this spiritual status, all he can do is say the name of Allah, and he can control his boat in that huge, unimaginably strong water waves. So now another point to be noted, that this ayat of Quran says Bismillah majraiha wa mursaha. So it is the word majraiha is written like this in Quran. Okay, but this is the only example of the law of tajweed that we learn in tajweed, al-imala al-kubra, right? Al-imala al-kubra. So here, this alif, according to the law of ilm al-tajweed, al-imala al-kubra, according to the law of tajweed, we twist this alif and pronounce it like a twisted alif. And when you twist the alif in your pronunciation, according to the law of tajweed called al-imala al-kubra, you will end up pronouncing it like this. Majraiha. Majraiha. So you are not saying majraha. You will twist your voice in pronouncing the alif and incline the alif towards the letter ya. So you'll say majraiha. This is called al-imala al-kubra. Complete twisting of alif towards the letter ya in the pronunciation. And that's how we do it according to the law of tajweed. So, and this is a grammatical explanation. Now let's go to the other point I was mentioning, that this is the statement of Prophet Nuh narrated by Allah in Quran. So Prophet Nuh did not say majraiha wa mursaha Bismillah, although grammatically that's the regular way of saying a thing. So subject and the predicate, according to the English grammar. Likewise in Arabic we call it al-mubtada, thumma al-khabar. First we mention the subject, which we call al-mubtada in Arabic, and then we bring the predicate, which is called al-khabar in Arabic grammar. So this is the khabar, and this is the mubtada, the subject. The subject comes first, and the predicate comes second. Prophet Nuh is bringing the predicate first and the subject later. So the khabar comes first and the mubtada comes later. So now this is the opposing way of putting something, phrasing something. So he said, Bismillah majreha wa mursaha. This kind of expression of Arabic grammar has a reason behind it, and this gives the benefit of hasr. Hasr. Hasr means restriction. Now what he is trying to say by this kind of reverse statement is that the moving of the ship and the anchoring, the stopping of the ship is only through the name of Allah. Where do you bring the word only? Only is apparently not mentioned in the ayat. Only it comes out from the fact that the predicate is mentioned first and the subject is brought second, and grammatically this brings the meaning of only automatically by default. So this is where we say the movement of the ship and the stopping of the ship is only through the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This shows the level of ma'rifat and highness of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, that he recognized the azamat and greatness of Allah and the greatness of His name, and he has that level of ma'rifat and haqiqat and reality of the name of Allah. So he realizes that it's only through the name of Allah that this can be done, not through any other means. Can I erase this?
Alana, question. So could you describe that, if you reach to this level, then you can have that certain power that Allah gives you as, miracle, some people call them miracles.
Yeah, I'm coming to that point.
Okay.
That's what I'm coming to. What do we mean exactly from the word reaching the reality? That's what I'm explaining. Thank you.
Because I was listening to Imam Asi's clip from last week, and he was talking similarly about two examples. This is great that you brought up the Prophet Nuh, but he brought up Isra and Mi'raj, where it's seemingly irrational. Laws of physics are not there. And then Prophet Musa with the staff and the water doing that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's another example. That's another example of reaching the reality of Allah. That's true. So, reaching the reality of the name, what do we mean by that? Reaching the reality of the name of Allah. The names of Allah. So, it is, you need to remember that it's neither the lafz, which means the word, nor the ma'na, the meaning. First of all, let's clear this from our minds. If this was coming in the mind, let's clear it out. So, reaching the name of Allah doesn't at all mean, it's nothing to do with the word, nothing to do with the meaning of the word. The words, if you're talking about the words, means, for example, Allah is Al-Hayy, the living one. For example, Allah is Ar-Rahim, the merciful. These are words, right? And each word has a meaning in the language. So reaching the reality of the names has nothing to do with the word or the meaning. It's not about the word. It's not about knowing the word. It's not about knowing the meaning of the word. As far as knowing the word is concerned, everybody knows the name, the words of Allah's names. Even the non-Muslims know it. It's not a rocket science. Allah has 99 beautiful names. Every Tom, Dick and Harry can know it. You can just Google it. So knowing the word is not a big deal. Everybody can know it. Knowing the meaning of those words in the grammar is not a big deal. You can pick up the dictionary and find out the meaning. Everybody can do it. It's doable for every human being. It's not a big deal. That's not the meaning of reaching the reality of Allah. What is meant by meaning, by the term reaching the reality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually what is meant by reaching the reality of Allah is actually what it means is practicing the content of that name fully, completely and fully practicing the content of that name. So if you understand its meaning and you start applying those implications of the meanings in your everyday lives and you apply it on your personality, so the content for which the name stands is now apparent in your character. So you live by the meaning of the name in your everyday life, that you are practicing the content of that name fully. So whomsoever Allah provides His mercy, you also start providing mercy to the same categories of people to whom Allah is ready to provide His mercy. To whomsoever Allah is angry upon, you also express the similar level of anger towards those. Whomsoever Allah provides His generosity, you start doing generosity towards the same category of people. And so forth. Exact meanings of the names you start applying on your personality and you practice it in your everyday life to the similar level, in the extent that Allah's will related to all the meanings of the names. Allah's will is your will. So you wish nothing but what Allah wishes, which means complete ta'at means obedience, and taslim means submission. So when a person reaches the complete state of complete obedience towards Allah, obedience towards the will of God, so you, on top of Allah's will, you don't end up wishing something other than what He is wanting you to do. So what He wants you to do, you also voluntarily with your free wills choose the similar obedience that is in sync with Allah's will. So you wish what He wishes and you submit to what He wishes. If that's the case, this is where a human being will end up reaching the state of what our Urfa say, al-insan al-kamil. This is where a person becomes a perfect human being. A perfect human, which means perfection of humanity. State of perfection, kamal. Perfection of humanity. That's the real human being in the true and fullest sense of the word. A real human is the one who is a true slave of the Creator, true slave of God, with complete obedience towards the Creator, the Master, and complete submission towards the Creator and the Master. This is the real humanity and the real concept of being a slave of God. This is called the perfect human being and state of perfection for a human being. When a human being reaches this state of perfection, which we call Kamal, Kamal al-Insaniya, Kamal and perfection of humanity, this individual now enjoys the level which we call Walaya Takwiniya. Walayatun Takwiniya. And when you are on the level of walaya means governance. Like we say walayatul faqih means the government of the mujtahid. Walayatun takwiniya. Takween is derived from the Arabic word al-kawn. Al-kawn. Al-kawn means existence. Walayatun takwiniya means governance in all those things that exist around us. So you have now governance and authority and control over the things around you. When you reach the state of walaya, walaya, this spiritual authority and position is given only to those people who are on the state of perfection. Perfection in terms of obedience to God and His will, and submission to God and towards His will. This is the reality of the insaniyyat. That's the perfect human being. When you reach the state of perfection, you are given the walaya and control over the rest of the existences around you. Or you will then start discovering that every existence that Allah created was already commanded by God to obey the perfect human being. We humans fail to benefit from the obediences of the rest of the creatures, which they were already commanded to be subservient to us. We fail to benefit from their subservience because we fail to reach the perfection of humanity for which we were created to begin with. So because we fail to reach the perfection of humanity, we fail to enjoy the position of walaya over the existences, governance over the existences, and thus we could not find anything obeying us. If we had reached the perfection, we would have gotten the position of control over the existences, and we would have discovered that all the existences around us were already commanded by Allah to listen to the perfect human, and they are obedient. This is how a person can show miracles and do whatever he wants to do, and everything listens to him. So Imam Ali alayhi salam can have a star coming down from the heaven to his doorstep at the time of marriage with Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam, and there were more than 1,000 people proposing for the marriage of Hazrat Fatima, and Prophet said that she is going to marry with someone for whom Allah sends the star at his door. The star can obey Imam Ali alayhi salam. The sun can be returned by the order of Imam Ali alayhi salam. The sun returns back so his companions can pray the Asr prayers which they were about to miss. So sun can listen to him, star can listen to him, Prophet can do an ishara, an indication, and the moon got divided into two pieces with the indicator of the Prophet, and so forth. History is full of those miracles. For those of you who are interested, you can refer to this book, which is Mother Book of Miracles, Madinatul Ma'ajiz of Ayatollah al-Uzma. Al-Muhaddis Al-Bahrani Bahrani are those people who were the natives of Bahrain. The later migrants are called Al-Bahraini. The original residents, locals, are called Al-Bahrani in Arabic. Ayatollah Huzma, Muhaddis, Bahrani is one of the great scholars, and he compiled this book Madinatul Ma'ajiz, where you can find the compilation. It's a compilation of almost all those very miracles which are in the history. You can find in this one mother book. So this is called showing the miracle is governance over the existences. Everything you can do, you can command, and everything listens to you. So you can do what you wish, what you are wishing to do. Miracle, right? Because you have the walaya, you have the government, you have the control over the things. Why you have control? Because you have obedience towards the Creator. When you obey the Creator awards you the control. Okay, now take the charge. So when you reach the perfection, He gives you the charge. Why we failed to get the charge? Because we could not reach the perfection. Why we could not reach? Because there is a lack of obedience and submission in our behaviors. So this starts where step number 1, you understand the meanings of the names and you apply the meaning of each name in your everyday life to an extent that you end up wishing nothing but what God wishes to do. As much as He wishes to do, wherever He wishes to do, whenever He wishes to do, to whomsoever He wishes to do, in the complete sense of that. And this sequence leads you towards the I think it's the time of Salat. We will continue inshallah after that. وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه.
اللهم صل على محمد.